Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Sunday Reflections with me, Elsa Marie De Silva. I'm the founder and CEO of Red Dot Foundation. And today with me, I have Vaishali Jethava. She's the COO of the Gender Lab, which is a project under the Blue Ribbon Movement. How are you, Vaishali? Good to
Hi,
have you.
Elsa. Thank you for having me. I'm absolutely great. Feeling refreshed.
I know you've had a busy day, so can you tell us a little bit about, the Gender Lab?
Sure, definitely. So, Elsa, the Gender Lab is basically largely focuses on building leadership and helping adolescent girls to break gender stereotypes through service learning program. So we have been working with adolescent girls in the for the last 10 years in Mumbai, Delhi, and in 52 villages of Haryana. Apart from that, we also do Gender Lab Boys program, which is to make them more sensitive towards gender issues. And also, the both the programs are actually based on service learning model. And the third thing that we do under the Gender Lab is the Gender Lab Fellowship, where young women of 20 to 25 age group they deliver the Avanti Young Women Leadership Program across schools in Mumbai and in Haryana. So that's pretty much in brief that we as the Gender Lab do. Yeah.
So during COVID-19, how have you managed your programs? Because most of us have pivoted online, and I'm sure you did too. But can you share a little bit about how and what were
Elsa, your voice was breaking. What
okay?
did you say at the end? Yeah.
So what I was saying was that during COVID-19, most of these programs that we have done at Red Dot Foundation have moved online. And I'm assuming that at the Gender Lab too, y'all have moved your sessions online. Can you share a little bit about the challenges that you faced and how have you coped with it?
Sure. So it's a really important question, Elsa. It was extremely tough for the entire team at the beginning of the lockdown, uh, and it was for the entire world that way. So initially, in the initial 2 to 3 months, we actually spoke to our schools and we did a round of listening schools with them. The idea was not to talk to them about the program or how do we continue, but initially how do we provide a support or a listening space for the educators, for the stakeholders, and what are the challenges that students are facing at this moment and where the Gender Lab can play their role. So that's how we started with. It was challenging. We were also in a question, how are we going to survive through this entire year? But the most beautiful part of the Gender Lab team is that we all tried our best to come together, had different round of conversations, supported each other physically, mentally, being there for each other, not only for the team, but also for the community. So that's how I would say that initial months were being managed. And later on, slowly, we again had a different multiple rounds of conversations with our schools, some of our students, our alumni participants to understand their needs. We also did relief work in some of the schools to support some around 450 families in Malvani community and in Sion and one of the schools in Dahisar and some families in Delhi as well. So from there, slowly we built more confidence, also courage to experiment something new. Also, not entering in the community with an intention that we want to create the impact that we used to do earlier, but with that, keeping an intention of creating safe space, listening space, continuing the journey of understanding leadership values, breaking gender stereotypes, mental health. So, with those intentions, how do we talk to our girls and boys about just continuing this journey rather than having a larger goal in place? So that's how, with that intention, we again had conversations with our schools and started with some of the online sessions with some of our schools in Delhi and in Mumbai. Uh, and as compared to Mumbai and Delhi, Jeend, where we are working right now, it's a district in Haryana. So we worked with 52 schools there. Those are government schools. So there the situation is quite better as compared to these cities. So there we are, from August onwards, we started experimenting field work. So in a smaller batch, we interact with these girls and continue their journey of leadership and breaking the gender stereotypes by introducing a podcast on Main Bolungi. Uh, so that's something that we are exploring and continuing in Haryana, in Jeend. In Mumbai, definitely, as you shared, how your organization is continuing learning things online. On similar lines, here in Bombay and in Delhi, with very few schools, we are trying to have online learning sessions, awareness sessions for adolescent girls and boys, where we are creating space to take care of their mental health and where they can feel safe and comfortable. Also, this is not something which allow us to reach out to those who do not have access to technology and internet. Definitely. So this is the one of the biggest challenge that our institutions, our schools are also facing at this moment, and everybody doesn't have an exact answer to it. That's where everybody is trying the best to experiment and stay in touch with students, with girls, boys, wherever they are, even they are sitting in their village. They are trying to basically connect with them. So through WhatsApp, and also we are figuring out how we can do something on field here in cities as well. So we are in that process where we experiment and continue our journey. So yeah, that's sort of where the Gender Lab is right now.
I wanted to ask you more on your mental health programs. Can you share a little more in detail as to what exactly y'all are doing and what are the strategies y'all are adopting? Because during this time, it's been very hard on especially young
Hmm.
people because there's no socialization. They are stuck at home. They are constantly on their devices. Many of them may not even have devices. And therefore, they're losing out on the education system and so on and so forth. So, can you share a little more in detail? What are the strategies you all have adopted?
Sure, Elsa. So this is definitely one of the challenge as well, like how exactly we could reach out to more girls and boys and take care of their mental health. So definitely, since everybody is staying at home, a lot of abuse or some or the other things must be happening with children, which they are not being able to share either with their parents, their teachers, or with us. So that's where it's as an educator or as an organization who are working with adolescents, it's important that any content that we are delivering is designed in such a way which is lighter, free flowing, fun, art based, story based. So these are some of the tools that we are also learning and experimenting and trying to create safer space for children. Definitely, a lot of them are spending, all of them, most of them are in fact spending a lot of time on screen. So that's where schools have also tried to reduce the number of hours that students have to spend online, and how some material can be shared in creative way on their WhatsApp groups. So whenever their father or mother, whoever has a device, whenever they come back home, students get an opportunity to basically get an access of the material that is being shared. Now these are the solutions that people are experimenting right now, but I would say that it is still difficult. I mean, there is no one answer to it or one solution to it which support us or help us to, support our children of their mental health largely. So, yeah.
And the Gender Lab leadership team are all young women, right? Like yourself.
Yes.
So, can you share, how do y'all work? Like, how has COVID affected y'all at the leadership level? How have y'all navigated this strange period and pivoted with your organization?
Sure. So it's very interesting question. So one is that every individual who is a part of the Gender Lab, they're passionate about the cause that we are working on. So that's where, even though during the COVID time, it was difficult, we didn't had answer to a lot of questions. Our entire field work was, is, and is going to be in question for quite a long time. We don't have an answer to that as well. So each of us were support for each other. I don't know in what words I should explain this, or uh, like how everybody, like we have a family where we can cry, express ourselves. So there was freedom to express what we are going through, our multiple emotions, different kind of emotions, being it anger, uh, you feeling like crying or anything. So there was a lot of listening spaces being created for each and every individual. And the other thing is that there are some of the values that which are core, which we call our core values. One is definitely freedom. The other one is ownership, accountability, fun, love. There are many more other values that which are, I mean, which are very dear to us. But these are some of the values which has held us actually throughout the journey, and have helped us to stay together. Um, yeah, I think a lot of love, care. None of us have actually took a step back, but all of us have taken multiple steps ahead to support each other, and have been through that crisis situation, difficult conversations, figuring out together. It's something that we keep doing, and we learn new things. I mean, you must have also experienced that a lot of webinars were happening to tackle the worst case scenarios during COVID, especially for NGOs, or different organizations or an individuals. So as an individuals, we also tried our best to understand what is happening in the community, what are the leaders or other people who are at powerful position envisioning, or what are the solutions, or in which directions we as an organization can think of. So it was, I think the last thing that I would like to share is that we weren't standing as an individuals, we were standing as a group of people, as a community, you would say, or as a family that helped these women uh, to basically sustain, survive, learn, and continue. So yeah, and there's a lot of hope that is, yeah.
That's amazing. And I guess a lot of organizations and groups of older people can learn from you and your methodology, which is always why I like to interview younger women leaders and younger organizations to see what they are doing. How did
Yeah.
you get on this journey of, working with the Gender Lab and contributing to this cause?
Sure. So this actually started from my own personal experience of. So I come from a background. I belong to a Gujarati family, and have seen a lot of domestic violence, other violences that happening at home. So during my college, when I was in my last year, um, so Ayushi, Akshat, you know them. So they had come to my college. I did my graduation from Itabai College. Um, so initially, like in my during that time, I was completely unaware of social sector. I didn't know whether the social sector exists or not. So that's how through my placement, I actually got selected in the year 2014, and that was my very first year of delivering the Avanti Young Leadership Program for adolescent girls in different schools in Mumbai. And that gave me courage, or sort of a vision of building or creating this opportunity for more adolescents. It wasn't a one way process, it was a two-way process. Definitely, our leadership program helps girls to build their leadership skills, which is vision, confidence, teamwork, action, empathy, and also break multiple gender stereotypes. And one of the stereotypes that girls break is going out of their houses, and they have to negotiate with their parents at that time. So, so similarly, I have also gone through that journey. It was difficult for me to accept that I can also do something like this. I can also break certain gender stereotypes, and I can also be myself. I can also be a confident human being. A woman, accepting myself as a woman was also a challenge, uh, genuinely. So that's how my journey started. And over a period of time, I mentored more than 3,000 adolescent girls. I've and in Bombay, we have worked with more than 100 schools in the past quite a few years. And yeah, I think with the support of Gender Lab Fellows, all of us, all the DDs have basically been able to build a lot of values, a lot of, and build leaders actually, young leaders, I would say. So that's how my journey started, and it's been more than 6 years now. It used to be difficult for me, Elsa, to define my dream. I always used to say that I want to continue this work. That is clear for me. But how to define my vision? So recently, I should say that lockdown in a way helped me to reflect back to my entire journey and tell myself that my vision is to create opportunities, create platform for adolescent girls where they can talk about their dreams, they go out in their community and they raise their voice and also bring change. And that's how they call themselves a leader. So yeah, that's more or less about my journey.
That's great. And have you ever missed working with other organizations? Because I'm assuming this is your first job and you've like worked with the organization. Do you ever think that
Yeah,
maybe you should experiment and go outside, or you feel that you're all the opportunities that you want are within this organization up to now, that you've
mm,
grown with it?
yeah. So Elsa, I mean, this question never occurred to me. People do ask me this question, especially the my friends from college, that why are you still working in the same organization? And I usually used to just smile because I didn't had answer, because I never used to had to think of this. And why do I feel that way? Because I love what I do and I know what impact it creates, and I am confident about it. I have seen it, I have myself experienced it, so I know what it is. I completely get your point of experimenting with work. I mean, with going with different organizations and having different opportunities. But I think as a gender lab, we all create those opportunities within. Um, yeah, like for example, I'm also a part of Global Shapers community, so I know that when as an individual I can take something which is beyond gender lab, which adds value to my own individuality, also supports the work that I'm doing at the gender lab. Because again, for me as an individual, I can't think of doing something else without gender lab. So that's also,
You're absolutely correct. And I didn't mean that you should go
yeah,
out, because if I take my own career
right,
over almost a 30-year period, this is only my third organization, you know. But you're against the grain because your peers keep, most of them move organizations in 2 years, So I was
correct.
curious as to what has kept you there, and to have such clarity at an early age. And I have seen you grow over the last few years, and I can see how confident you are, but also how grounded you are, and you are really clear about your cause, about your purpose. And if you found that with an organization, that's amazing. So
Yeah.
all power to you for that.
Thanks, Elsa. In fact,
So
just wanted to, yeah,
go ahead, go ahead.
I just wanted to share that the reason why I'm here is you shared in your sharing, in fact, the cause that I'm passionate about and the way we do the space that we have here, a freedom basically. Like as an individual, we all seek freedom. So that is what every person who is a part of the Gender Lab have received here. So yeah,
So, can you tell us a little more about Global Shapers and the work you've done with them?
sure. So Elsa, Global Shapers community was initiated, like it's a community or it's a voluntary movement under World Economic Forum. Um, and the idea is that any any human being, any individual coming from any professional background, which who wish to bring change. For example, I stay in Thane district. So there is a hub in Thane. There is a hub in Mumbai. There is a hub in Navi Mumbai. Similarly, across India and across world, there are more than 450 hubs. So hubs are basically have been formed by a group of young people who are passionate to bring change in that particular locality. Being it, and these individual doesn't need to be from a particular kind of or a set of background. They can come from any set of background. They can be working in a corporate or a social sector or an artist or anybody basically. For me, it's been like only a year and a half. Thane Hub was started last year, and my idea of joining the Global Shapers was to build certain leadership values within me. So, like you said, that like I work with the Gender Lab, but also there's something that I wanted to create for myself beyond Gender Lab as well, so that so that's where the Global Shapers community plays another and an important role, where I have few more friends who are beyond my school, family, or Gender Lab people that way. So currently, I am the curator of Thane Hub, and as a curator, my responsibility is to take care of it, hold it, make sure that people are engaged in different activities, and hub sustains. And my this year's objective is to basically build this hub by having enough people who can build it together in future. So that is what largely maybe I can just share about this community and what am I doing. We are doing couple of projects, but they are on in their own journey right now. Yeah.
That's amazing. You always have to create, avenues for your own self-expression outside of your formal work. I have so many networks as well, and I enjoy meeting new people, thinking out of the box, not always focusing on what my organization is doing. So good for you.
Yeah.
What is your self-care routine? How do you relax? How do you take care of
Thanks, Elsa. So this is like easy and difficult both kind of question. So people who know me, they know that how crazy I am about my work. And initially, literally in my initial years, I never used to take break. Uh, and as a young energy, we all feel passionate about learning, doing multiple things at the same time. So from there to reaching a place where me taking care of myself and also taking enough breaks, and also doing therapy sessions for myself. I would not hide that because it's very important to take care of our mental health as well with physical health. I used to feel hesitant about it, but then last year I felt it's important because the kind of work that we as a social worker do, it's very important that we take care of our mental health as well, because we get to hear a lot of stories which might trigger to us or that might take us back to our own experiences. So so I do journaling. I In fact, I used to hate reflection. But from there to have journaling as becoming my the beautiful or important tool. So I write about myself. It's important for me as an individual to express my feelings. I will acknowledge that here. But I'm still working on that. I've improved. It's important that we acknowledge our emotions as well. And it's very difficult. So a person like me who will always prefer to share examples rather than the feelings, you know. So my therapist, my team members have helped me to connect with my emotions and express them. Also, definitely using your experiences and examples so that you can actually express your emotions that way. The other thing that I enjoy is cycling. I don't do cycling on regular basis. I do it more, I mean, few days in a month that way. Third is so my therapist asked me to do a physical activity. It could be in any form. So I go for a walk for very few minutes, not for a like an hour or so, 30 minutes. It depends on my schedule. So these are the two things that I do simply. Yeah, and talking to my friends really helps.
What are you looking forward in the new year?
What am I looking forward? Uh, yeah, Elsa, it's a genuinely look forward always. Like there's nothing different for me. I look forward uh to bas- to basically reach out to more adolescent girls and giving them that space. Also, one of my team member and I, both of us are working on building a community of our alumni girls. It's called Avanti Leaders Community. So, so we are working on that. We are working really hard. So like how I'm part of Global Shippers community, I envision to have a community of Avanti leaders where more adolescent girls can join in, feel safe, comfortable, learn from each other, share their dreams, their experiences, stories of courage. बहुत सारी चीजें हैं. There are like lots to share about it. So yeah, these are a couple of things that I envision for the new year. And for myself, if I have to say, then continuing the things that I do, which is journaling and taking breaks whenever it's needed. Yes.
Would you like to share one of the success stories of one of these young adolescent girls who graduated from the program?
Bilkul. So in fact, I would just like to share the last year's one of the groups had done a project on women's safety. Um, so this story is from Malvani. Malvani is a slum area in Malad West. So, um, so these girls were quite confused. So we had asked them to observe around, and there is this ground where there's this ground in that locality where a lot of men used to sit, drink alcohol, and they observed that a lot of girls and women don't feel safe, and they don't prefer to from go via that ground. So they initially, to understand the issue, the problem, they did a research. They spoke to quite a few women who stays near that ground, and also spoke to young girls who goes to college in the nearby locality itself. And through that research, they understood that this area is safe, and largely because of men sitting there, passing comments, drinking alcohol, they are not being able to move freely. So they shared about My Safety Pin app. Secondly, they also visited a police station. They were hesitant about it. In the first round, they couldn't submit their letter. In the second round, they again went back and shared the letter with all the signatures that they had collected during their survey of interacting with women and girls. And that really helped them to basically work on this project. So, police agreed them to basically go to that locality, that ground, and do patrolling on regular basis. So that is what the shift has happened because of this group. The one step that these girls took of going to the police station, talking to the community. So yeah, this is one of the stories which, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Well, I know you're very young, but still, I ask this question to all my guests.
Yes.
What advice would you give your 16-year-old self?
Mm, I would just say to a 16-year-old of myself to trust myself simply. Yeah. Because nobody told me to trust myself ever.
That's great advice. Well, anyway, thank you so
Yeah.
much, Vaishali. It was amazing to talk to you. I've learned so much from this conversation, and I wish you all the very best. It's always inspiring to watch young leaders like yourself make their mark in this world, and you truly have found your purpose at an early age. So, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Elsa, for inviting me.